S21 airplane. In this episode, I'm going to work on the engine cowling. As you can see, I have not riveted my boot cowl yet. I don't want to do that until after my engine start, just in case there's some reason I have to get in under there. That makes the engine cowling installation a little more difficult with screwing around with these rivets, but this is just the way I did it. The engine cowling is really a precision process of which I get it done, but my hat's off to some of these craftsmen that are just so clean and so smooth. Derek and DJ and Mike, Steve, you know, I don't put myself at their level of building, but I'm getting through it. I get it done. I like where I've gotten to it, and with that, let's jump in and start putting that cowling on. Okay, I've been away from the plane for a while, so I reattached a lot of the stuff just to get the plane in shape and kind of get it prepared for the next step. I put the boot cowl on. I formed these edges so they would form a tighter seal. Attached most of my closeout pieces. Put the seats in. Attached the rear baggage. And what else? Just got the visor on. Just got the plane basically back together after taking everything apart to work on it. And this will let me work on the boot cowl, then the doors and the roof. Then I taped all the way around the cowling, and I needed to measure a 3-inch line back from the joggle all the way around the boot cowl. As I place the cowling up to the firewall, I'm assuming it's going to overlap in here, and I'm supposed to measure 3 inches back onto the cowling, which is where the cut will be, so the cowling will fit into this joggle. But obviously I can't slide the cowling back with the clecos here. What I may try and do is take the bottom clecos out, remove the flange and the spacers, because the flange distance doesn't change. I mean, the distance here doesn't change. Whether this flange is here or not, the mark on the cowling is going to be the same. Well, this is the first fit up of the lower cowling. I did get some 8-foot straps. A couple other builders had recommended this is an easier way to kind of get it in place. I removed the clecos on the side, and the straps were long enough that they stayed in place, at least for the lower cowling for now. So I'm not going to rivet the boot cowl quite yet. I've got blockage. My pipes, even though I've moved them in closer than what the original plan was, I'm getting some resistance there. So I think I'm going to open that up just a little bit more. This is my second fit up. I trimmed the area for the pipes, and I'm not sure what else I should trim. I'm going to go look at some videos. It seems to fit up pretty well. If I look at my gap here, I've got my 3/8 all the way down. It looks like it's lined up. I'm a little concerned because I've got a gap here. I trimmed this as the instructions said, so I'm not sure if this is, but maybe there's some baffling that'll cover this. And then the other issue is this is lined up on each side, so it's equidistant on each side. And I've got a gap here and a gap here, but I'm assuming that that's intended because that's the size of the cowling, and this is the baffling as it's installed. Okay, the instructions say to make sure we're level with the fuselage on both sides, and then to mark the bottom of the cowling, where am I? 3 inches in from the line, and that'll put it at the joggle. And to cut the bottom section of the cowling, but not to mark and cut the side section, as that'll be done later. It does say to trim this so that it's 2 inches, and remember this is the bottom, so it's upside down. So this is that section that I was concerned about that was too short. But as I come over here and I measure, I get the angles bad, it's actually a tiny bit 2 1/8. So I actually cut it a little bit larger, and it still has this gap. So I'm assuming there's a baffle seal that's going to go in. And the same on this side. That's just a little over 2 inches, and that's leaving that gap. So the other thing I did is I measured to make sure to level. Is I measured the distance from the mounting bolt on both sides, and it is level on both sides. So I think we're good to take this off and cut the bottom. I've laid on the top cowl, cut the bottom. I removed the clecos that were holding in the flange strap. It is sitting very high right now, and I'm looking inside to see what it looks like, and I got to go back and check the manual. This has not been cut down, and this looks like it needs to get cut down and come down a bit, but maybe that's supposed to be done now. I got to check the manual, but it is sitting up there, strapped on. So far so good. I don't see any critical issues yet. Okay, so far so good. The upper cowl was not supposed to be trimmed like the lower cowl was. It's supposed to overhang the joggle right here. Now what it says is you want to set the upper cowl so that it's parallel to the spinner plate and that it settles down so that there's no unobstructed air from the spinner, which means this has got to come down, which means trimming in around here and the same on this side to bring the cowling down. You also can't drop the cowling down, of course, onto your flywheel. And on this engine, I have got a little bracket on there, which right now I've just got clecoed and with a bolt and nut. That angle bracket was because I had a constant speed prop engine. Even though I'm not going with a constant speed prop, I bought the engine with the option to do so, and the engine casing was different. So I left this cleco just in case the cowling wasn't going to fit, and I might have had to re-engineer that somehow. But I've got about 2 inches, which is about what I need to bring down. So I think I'm all set. I'm gonna bring the cowling down and make sure it fits, just trimming a little bit at a time. This is that little hump in my engine that most of you don't have. This is the bracket that came with this kit, which was supposed to be installed down here where there's no hump. So I installed it, created a kind of a secondary bracket, and I'll just permanently attach this now that I know it's going to fit. Okay, on and off, on and off, on and off. I think I'm getting close. If we come in here, my gap looks consistent. It's a 3/8 all the way from the top to the bottom. They come together, contact here. There's maybe a little trim on the corner there. And then if you look, the distance here, the distance here, we're real similar. Come over here. This gap here is pretty tight. We're 3/8 here. This is where we have to trim to meet the joggle, but that's pretty tight in there. And then this is tight. As I look at this setup, I like this with the angle, but I'm looking here, I notice there's a gap. This whole bottom piece needs to come up. So I'm going to shift it up, then that means I'm going to have to recut this a little more, but one more time on and off. I've brought the bottom cowl up so that this one's got to get adjusted just a little bit, but I brought it up, and then I brought the top cowl down. Every time I take a little bit off here and bring the cowl down, this opening's getting smaller and smaller. With some of the engine cooling issues, I don't want to get this too small. The other issue is, as I step back, it looks like I've got kind of coming off my boot cowl this way and then my engine cowl that way. Now, it's a tail dragger, so my tail is down, and there's still a little bit of an angle. So this is not perpendicular, so it definitely has a down slope. If I follow that line, I think my cowling is just going to drop down into the prop. So maybe there's supposed to be a little bit of a curve. And the other thing is the windshield is going to come into here, so you're not really going to see the upslope a little bit. I'm not sure, and I can't drop this bottom cowl down any lower because I need the air to go in here. I'm not sure I can bring this down anymore, so I think I've got to stop there. because that's about all that it's going to come down. So let me think about it a little bit and see what I'm going to do next. I put the spinner on, and I think I'm okay with this. I've got my gap with the 3/8, kind of equidistant there. I've got to clean up the trim on the inside a little bit. Back here you don't really need to measure because that's just going to go onto the boot cowl, so that'll get cut. So I'm really just looking at the opening and the connection here, and then I'll have to, I think it's pretty close to centered, but I'll center it a little left to right. But I think as far as how much it comes down, and I've got my spinner up against here pretty well where I shouldn't have much restricted airflow against that. I've marked the line on the upper cowl 3 inches in, which is measured to the joggle. So in theory, this cut should lay the upper cowl right into that joggle. Well, let's hope it all works. I cut my upper cowl, measured 3 inches back from the joggle, which was on the tape. After I cut it, I clecoed back in that flange and the spacer and the cowl to the firewall tabs. There's 4 layers that you got to get these clecos through. And if anyone else is like me that doesn't want to rivet their boot cowl yet, you have to go through this. Otherwise, have your boot cowl riveted. You don't have to worry about this. And I'm happy with my cut. It looks like it fits right into the joggle pretty well. And they say to go up and position everything again, tape the upper and the lower cowl together pretty tight, and then I think we're going to locate the first hole to mount and secure the cowl. Okay, what I did is I put my tape measure up there with the end of it, and then used the center of the hump that I eyeballed from the spinner, and there's a tab on top of the frame, so I centered that with the center of the hump, moved my tape measure till it was centered, and that was my center line. I'm not sure it's exact. Matter of fact, I know it's not exact, but it's a cowling screw. I don't think it has to be exact, but it's real damn close. Eyeballs can do a pretty good job. Then it looks like the bottom hole for the cowling is 3/4 of an inch in from the end of that boot cowl strip. It's like that 4-inch strip that's underneath. Looks like you're 3/4 of an inch in and then 1/2 an inch in from the edge. I'm underneath the plane looking up, and I've got my 2 number 40 clecos holding on my cowling at the bottom point. This line is 3/4 of an inch in from the strap, and then it's 1/2 an inch in to the cowling. I got everything flush and tight in here. Just double check, triple check to reset it, and then drilled and put my holding cleco in there. And the same thing on this side. This one's over here. Now that we're all pinned in from the bottom and the top, they want you to trim the aft section of the cowling. We've measured it in from our predetermined mark from here to the joggle. I've got the line all the way down. My eyesight says, yeah, it's going to match up here, it's going to match here, and down at the bottom it looks like it's going to match the joggle down here. So I've got my lines. Next thing to do is to trim it. Okay, that's a good place to stop. That section took 27.9 hours, and that was cowl on, cowl off, trim cut, cowl on, cowl off, trim it, cowl on, cowl off, trim it. Believe it or not, that's almost 30 hours, and all I did was keep trimming that cowling to get it to fit, and it's not even done. I mean, that's just to the segment to where I ended. So this is a long process. Probably others can do a little faster than I can, but you've got to take it on, take it off, take it on, take it off, and trim, trim, trim. So all I can say is be patient with it and keep trimming. Don't over trim. You can't put material back on. And in the next segment, I'm a lot further than where this video stops. In the next segment, I do get the cowling fit up, I get the nut screws put in, and I think this will be a 2-parter. It may end up being a 3-parter, but either way, thanks for watching, whether it's 2 or 3 parts, and I look forward to showing you the next section. And remember, dream it, just build it.